StudentPreneur, the podcast about students who are entrepreneurs. Get motivated and keep your energy high with stories from studentpreneurs.
This episode is sponsored by ID Network, a network of university associations run by studentpreneurs for studentpreneurs. Visit idnetwork.com.au. Welcome to episode 7. My name is Julian Margin, entrepreneur turned PhD student. For 3 years, I've been studying students who are entrepreneurs, and I get told not to waste my time with them. They should drop out of uni and build a business like Jobs and Gates. Well, what I don't know is that after dropping out, Job attended calligraphy classes on campus, and 10 years later, he introduced a Mac with beautiful fonts. Each week, I bring you the best of those individuals who are students and entrepreneurs. I call them studentpreneurs. This week, our studentpreneur is Galo Vargas. Hi, Gala. You're 29 and you're currently doing your Master of Interaction Design at the University of Queensland in Brisbane. And you're also the CEO of Inspired, a creative hub for readers and writers. And you received a low six figures investment for that. When you were younger, you even won competitions at your university back in Ecuador. And since then, you've been participating in quite a few Startup Weekend events. Do you want to tell a little bit more about your company?
Yeah, well, Inspired is a web and mobile platform that allows emerging writers and storytellers to create, publish, and read stories serially, like chapter by chapter, like a TV series. So this is a platform to help emerging writers and storytellers to get published for people that are passionate about reading online stories from independent authors.
Great. So let's go back in time. Can you tell us how and when you started your entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, well, I started when I was 15. You know, the usual stuff when you're a kid. You start selling things. I was creating, drawings or selling products. And I was selling this to my friends, to my neighbors. Then 1 year after that, I started, creating websites because I was studying this in high school, some kind of pre-computer science.
Yeah.
So all my friends were like hiring me to create their own personal website. Back then was like a big novelty because this was like around 2002, 2001. So
everybody wanted to have a website.
Yeah, that was like a really cool thing to have. And, much of the people, they didn't know how to do it. So they were hiring me.
So were they paying you to do that?
Yes. Yeah. Not that much because they were like my friends. I wasn't like charging them like a lot. Something like just meaning, But then...
Did you do this for money or did you do this because it was fun to build?
At the beginning, I was doing this for fun because I was learning,
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun because I was learning. I was downloading some other websites and hacking them like to get better and get better. Suddenly, a bunch of other people, not my friends, outside of my friends, friends of my friends, they were calling me, hey, I know that you are doing websites. I know you're doing designs. Can you please do this for me? We will pay you. So, yeah, that's how...
Like real money?
Yeah, real money. They were paying better, yeah. Not still at the level of a professional, but they were paying a lot better. If you are a kid in high school and you start earning money from this, like, let's say $600, $700,
it's a lot of money. Yeah, it is.
Money when you are a kid, yeah.
All right, and from then, what happened?
So after that, I met this guy. He hired me he wanted a personal website. So I did it. I designed it by myself and I coded. Then I put it on internet. And he was so happy about it that he offered me a job. So
how old were you?
And I think this was when I was already 18.
Okay, so you finished high school.
Yeah, I already finished high school. So I did like a kind of internship there, paid internship. So yeah, I developed my skills there. I got a lot of know-how and the initial experience that you need when you start up in this, IT industry.
Were you going to uni at the same time?
Yeah, in the first months, no. I went to uni like 6 months later, but I used these 6 months to work and get some experience. Then I went to uni. In the first year I was working. Then I had to quit because the uni was so demanding. Yeah, it happens.
Well, I guess because you were working, like it wasn't your business, you were working. So the motivation to stay was less, yeah.
But something strange, really, really strange happened. Usually when you are doing two things at a time, like let's say studying and working, you perform good in one of them and not that good in the other one. So a lot of people, I had a lot of classmates that they were working, they had to pay for their studies. I was lucky because my parents were supporting me with that. So the thing is that they were not doing great in their studies because they were working, and that's just fine, But then my grades actually went down after I quit working. And then when
After you quit working?
Yeah. It was strange. It was like I had this feeling of, okay, I have all the time in the world right now. So I don't know. I couldn't just focus. But then I got back to working, as a freelance, and then to another job when I was in the fourth year of my career. And I even won a diploma with the best GPA. So I think that working under pressure is part of me.
So you recommend to be working in order to get a good grades at uni?
Well, no, it depends on people. Yeah, I do like to work under pressure. It's like part of me. It's part of how I see business too, how it's part of what I have been doing since I was a kid when doing these like freelance jobs. So I was so used to it. So I prefer to be constrained by time than having a lot of time to do things. Yeah.
So, and at university, you took some classes around entrepreneurship?
Yeah, well, in my undergrad, I have this course. It's called startups. Let's say startups. In Spanish, it's creación de empresas innovadoras. So the whole point of the course was creating a company, from scratch. You have to find and convince people in the course to join you, come out with an idea. And by the end of the course, there will be an event where you actually have to sell your idea, sell the product, sell the services, whatever you do, you have to sell. And the winner is the one that sells the most, of course. So back then, all of us, we were like really into Japanese culture, and we love it. Japanese culture is really amazing. So we start creating products around this Japanese culture,
So real products. It wasn't just like an assignment. It was you actually do the thing.
We did it. Like we got t-shirts, black t-shirts, just flat, pure black. And we printed some stamps on them with actually it was a reflective stamp. And we got a Japanese artist. She was drawing, doing some Japanese kanjis in paintings. We got mugs and we printed messages in the mugs. So we did everything actually.
Wow.
And we put all of these products on a stand. We market them with my friends, I was doing phone calls like this. And when the day of the event came, we started selling these products and we were like, okay, we're doing good. But by the end of the day, it was really great. We sold out.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah, we were like, whoa. And we were really thinking, we should do this
for real?
Real thing, yeah.
Well, I mean, you were already doing it for real. Like you did pretty much everything. Like what else do you want? It's scaling up, that's all.
Well, yeah, it was really fun. Yeah, we actually loved it. We won this kind of competition. We got the best grade because that was the point of the course.
Selling is really important.
Exactly. No, this is one of the things that I have learned, in my startup entrepreneur career is like selling is the most important thing. And actually, when you are in the digital space, most of the people, it has happened to me too. Like we focus a lot on design, on building the thing, building the actual product.
Product development, yeah.
Exactly. Product development, coding, adding more features. And then when the time comes and you actually have to make a sale, you don't put that much effort into it. And that's when the startup fails.
That's a really good example. Yes, you don't put as much energy into it. You just think it's going to sell it by itself, right?
Exactly.
It's perfect. Excellent. So what? Then you graduated and you went into the dark side?
Oh, yeah. Well,
you got a job?
Yeah, that's the dark side. But actually it helped me a lot,
Okay.
When you are a student, you still don't have real experience in the industry. So I was still doing my freelance jobs, casual websites, small websites, and I got this job. So my first job was in a development company, in a web development company. So I gained a lot of experience there, a lot of contacts, it's always important to get context. That's one of the most important things for an entrepreneur, to get, this network of people who actually will recommend, if you do a great job for them, they will recommend you for, to other people. And that's how you start growing.
That's called networking.
Yeah, that's really important. I would say that is one of the most important aspects, actually. So, yeah, I was in this web development company for a while, I think it was 1 year and a half. Then I moved to another web development company, which was bigger. I stayed there for 2 years. And then I went to a newspaper company. That was actually the biggest job. It was a big role. It was like I was the product manager of the website.
Yeah, okay.
And the website was not a normal website. The website was actually the biggest website in Ecuador.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
why do you think they pick you? Was it the contacts or was it the background? What was it?
I think the background, because I had this strange mix of skills,
That's right, yeah.
that I'm kind of like, I know design, I know coding, and I had this attitude, like entrepreneurial attitude. So some corporations actually look at that, look at to the entrepreneur personality.
Yep.
And they want to hire you because they know that you want to act as an entrepreneur within the corporation.
Yes.
You come out with ideas and you try to execute them, and they back you up. So I think that was one of the reasons why they hired me.
That's very lucky. That's really good that there are companies out there that are smart enough to value this.
Yeah, I think so too. So after I launched the website, it was a long project and it was so interesting. I got a lot of experience there in management, specifically in managing people. It's different when you're working for a company, small company, and you are a team of 10 people, 15 people, and you go to a corporation with 1,000 people, and you have a team of 15 people.
Yeah.
And you are creating a product that will affect millions of people.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. So it's actually changed a lot in the way you approach things. And this experience was really valuable because I start to realize, okay, I am doing this. I am launching a product. I am the product manager. I am in charge of this. And I have to do this, do this, do this. And when I decided I want to become a full-time entrepreneur, all of this experience that I had was really valuable. So I already had experience to launch a new product, But, still, it's a work in progress. You never stop learning.
Yes.
So it's a different thing when you are actually managing a product that is already, out there than when you are actually launching a new product into the market.
So why starting a new company now?
Well, that's a tricky question. Well, yes, I always have, this feeling, okay, I realized that I was doing all of this stuff. I can ideate project, I can plan it, I can execute it. I can do it all of this for a company or for a person that hires me, And I was wondering, well, I can do this for myself too. And, I have some things that I'm passionate about. I love to create and build digital products. And I love writing. I'm a writer myself.
Ah, okay. So that's one of your passions.
That's one of my passions. And that's why Inspired was born, actually. So yeah, it was a mix of a lot of things. The ability to do what I like, the ability to manage my time, the ability to actually create an impact to the world by myself.
And you had all the skill set, basically. It feels like all the stars were aligned because you had management, you had entrepreneurship, you had networking.
Well, yeah, I would say all the skills, but yeah, I think that I have experience, but I still need, you just can't launch and start by yourself. It's a complicated uphill task. It's so difficult.
So you recommend a co-founder?
I will recommend at least one co-founder to help you out. Before this, I have another startup, My co-founder was a friend of mine, actually a colleague in my previous job before the newspaper company. So we were working as a team before in this development company. We were really good friends. He was really good at coding and engineering. I was doing that also, but I was doing that too. But I had this co-founder that can focus, entirely on the engineering part. Maybe I can focus on the other side of the business, which is actually the business, hustling or designing or, So that's why I think it's really important to have a co-founder, to get somebody that actually can do something that you can't do, or someone who can do something that
Better than you.
better than you, basically.
And you've worked with them before you picked them, basically. So you knew what they could do.
Exactly. Yeah, that's key. You have to know your co-founder, the person. You have to at least to work with somebody, because before becoming like a co-founder, because it's a different kind of relationship. It's like you're getting married with somebody.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. So you must know this person. I think that friendship, trust is really important in this aspect. So you can trust each other. Basically, everything is about trust.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Totally agree. Cool. So it looks like you've transferred a lot of skills from your startups and then back into the corporate world, and then transferred your skill from the corporate world into your startup again. Like you've been back and forth really, which is excellent. And so back when you were in high school, then university, and now back in university, how did you manage your business and the studies?
Well, back in high school was really easy, because when you're in high school, at least in Ecuador, you have classes from 7 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon. So I had pretty much all the afternoon and evening to working whatever I wanted. And university was a little bit more difficult. Well, way more difficult, because the university is more demanding. It requires, a lot of things like, working assignments and things. But with passion and being organized, you can still do it. And now in the masters, it's even more difficult. I
thought you knew how to manage your time now.
So, no, even I don't know how to manage it. But I always want to perform at the highest level, wherever I'm doing. So I try to be as organized as possible. So I have a schedule of things that I have to do, and I commit to that schedule. So I finish all the tasks that I have to do on time, because I know that I won't have more time for doing them. So, and actually, in Inspired, the thing is that I have a team that, of course, is helping me. And I think one of the advantages that I have with my team is that we're all in different time zones.
Oh, wow.
That helps a lot, like a lot. For example, I'm here in Australia working with another colleague. I have another part of the team in Ecuador. I have even one part of the team in UK. So we all have different time zones. So sometimes when I am busy here, I have somebody that can cover me up, who is in another completely different time zone. But, so we all do this. And it's really good, because since we are all working in different time zones, around the globe, it means that actually Inspired is, progressing 24 hours.
24 hours. That's good.
Yeah. From a random place in the world.
It's funny because a lot of time you hear people working with different time zone, like India or the UK, for Australia, for instance. They complain that they have to stay up at night and like they don't sleep a lot. But for you say that it's actually a benefit. They can cover your work when you're working on something else.
Yeah. But it's because I have like already a team. Before having my team, it was more difficult.
Yeah.
So this is part of scaling up, You have to still do things properly. I used actually the 4 months that I had for vacation to build all of this, to get the people on board and to organize everything. So when I come back to classes.
When you say everything, you mean like processes and ways, like the rules of working together and these kind of things?
Yeah.
So you try to automate as much as possible so everybody knew what to do and you didn't lose time in emailing each other every time there was a decision to be made?
Exactly. At this point, I think that we're really coordinated in everything that we do. We use a lot of tools for this. We use a tool called Asana, which is a task management tool. It's really, really useful. So if we need something, we just assign the task to somebody that is responsible of it, and we get an answer of that, like, I don't know, within an hour at the most. So yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. Okay, and so you said you've learned a lot from your different jobs, but how else do you learn? Do you learn through books, podcasts, blogs, talking to people, and do you have any of them that you would like to recommend to the listeners?
Yeah, well, I have different sources of learning. Of course, one of them is the university. The information, the knowledge that you get from there, it's really valuable. You have a lot of experienced professors and things like that.
Are you being paid by your university to say that right now?
And I'm not. Don't get the wrong idea.
No, that seems good. Like, so you started your business like very early on at 16, and you went through uni and you were working, and then you had a very good job, and you still believe that you're learning a lot from university. That's really important. That's good.
The thing is this, this happened to me when I was back then in my undergrad. I was 19, 18 years old. So you are just like, you're still young. So you just want to go to uni and finish all the tests or finish all the assignments that you have and just get graduated. So that was pretty much most of the course, not all of them, because some of them were really, really good and I was so into them. But you are like this, like you want to finish this as soon as you can so you can get out to the real world and start working and, I don't know, start your own company and things like this. But I will say that now, having a master degree, it was my choice. It was my choice. Okay, let's go back to university to study a master to get better. But also, I saw this also as an opportunity because actually you can do a lot of great things within a university. You have the support of a university. You have access to a lot of knowledge, to a lot of books, to a lot of people who's experienced in the industry that you have. So you can actually do networking inside a university.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. So when you say you access a lot of people, that's the tutors, the professors, but also your classmates?
Classmates, of course. There's a lot of talented people in the university. Classmates or friends that I know around the campus. So I will say that the university is one of the sources that I use as for learning. I learn a lot from people, try to meet, hang out, and network with people who is better than me in some way, be it in hosting, in management, in IT itself, or designing. Getting to know these people actually inspires me and sets me up in a competition with myself to get better.
Yeah. How do you keep track of all the people you know?
I add them to LinkedIn.
Perfect.
No, but it's really important. Of course, I get all their contacts, and I have a list of, of people, all the people that you meet, and you remember their faces, their names, what they do. So when you actually need their help, or in the other way around, when actually they need my help, we just get in touch, and it's really important. It goes beyond just to using people to help you. It's more about having a good relationship with them. You never stop learning, and you can learn a lot from people from different aspects, like not only professional aspects, but in their personality, how they handle situations and things like this. So I like to meet people a lot. You never stop learning from them.
And for the young listener, for the high school students who are listening, how do you advise them to meet people?
Well, I start, going to networking events as young as 19.
19, okay, yeah.
Just showing up, because I wasn't interested in the seminars, in a workshop, and you start talking with people. They seem nice, and you just became friends with them, and then you start, knowing them and what they do. So, yeah, I think that, be more sociable. You don't have to meet them in a professional event or in a professional context. Sometimes in a party, you can talk with somebody and become friends. And later you can find out that they are doing great things in a company, or they are starting up, they have an idea or whatever. And okay, so I think that you just have to be open-minded, not close the door to people. Just be open.
Yeah, well said. Well said. And do you read? Like you are working on a business about reading and writing.
Of course I do read. So yeah, well, my business inspired is more about is fiction stories, My book is about, it's a fantasy novel. But I do read a lot of fiction stories. Just to put an example, Game of Thrones, The Song of Fire and Ice. But I also read a lot about other kind of things, like books about design, books about business, books about startups. I recently finished this book called From Zero to One by Peter Thiel, which basically is a reality check of what a startup is. And that's really important because a lot of people think, okay, I'm going to create a startup. Okay, let's do it. But they don't know that it's a lot of work creating a startup. So this is a reality check. Okay, this is how the real things are when you start up. So it's not Wonderland. It's difficult. You must have a passion for what you're doing. You must believe in what you're doing. You must commit to it. A part-time entrepreneur, like, okay, I will do this when I have time, in my spare time, that won't work as in a startup. unless you are super, hyper, mega lucky.
It does happen sometimes.
It happens, but I will say like less than 1% of the time.
Yes.
So actually, the real thing is work. And I have heard like a lot of people say that, no, I just want to get out of my job and work, relax in my startup. And I will say like, no, it's not like that. Startup is even harder than working in a job, because when you're in a job, you go from 9 to 5 or from 9:30 to 5:30. I don't know. But you go out of your job and you forget about it. And you can be peacefully enjoying your weekend. But your startup is not like this. You're working, let's say, 24/7. I have to work. I wanted to say that I have business meetings at 1 a.m. in Skype.
Yes, you still have them? All right.
Yeah, and on weekends, on holidays, I'm traveling sometimes for vacation, and I do have to attend emails and do things. Because when you are in your own business, if you don't do the things by yourself, nobody will do it for you. That's the thing.
But I think there is an academic definition. There are the entrepreneurs who are in for the lifestyle. And so they like the flexibility of the hours and be more relaxed. And then you have the entrepreneurs that are in for growth, and they're all interested in growing the business. And then I think the first entrepreneurs, they're more like freelancer really, and they're one-man business. But the entrepreneurs that are in for the growth, they're the one who are actually building a business and building a team. And that's where the startup is. I don't think the one for lifestyles are building a startup.
Yeah, no. Well, it depends. It still depends, but I can say that I have both of those qualities. I love the lifestyle of entrepreneurship. To manage my time is really important for me, but I am into growth too. I want to build a team, scale up. I don't do it. You won't become millionaire from one night.
What are you talking about? What about Kevin Ingram with Instagram? Like he made $1 billion in 18 months.
Well, it wasn't from one day to another.
No, it wasn't. And it was just like, that's the case that everyone brings up and says, see, that's how you make a lot of money. But
people don't see what is behind the scene.
That's right.
Yeah. So a lot of people is inspired by the idea of Facebook, that the guy dropped from school and suddenly he created this big social network.
Yeah.
And he became multimillionaire, and he's now one of the most powerful and richest people in the world. The same with Instagram. You create a product and you sell it for $1 billion. So it can be like this, but most of the times it's not like this.
But it's good. It's funny that you picked the book by Peter Thiel, because that's the guy that built PayPal, right? But that's also the guy that invested in Facebook when Facebook had only 100,000 users. 100,000.
Exactly.
And it was valued at $5 million, and he invested in it.
And he's the founder of Palantir too.
Yes. So the examples that he provides in the books, they're really, really useful.
It gives you a really good insight of what it is. You learn from his mistakes, and you also learn of how to do things. He explains how he approached things back then. And in summary, sometimes he says that he had no idea what he was doing. But at the end, it worked out pretty good to him. But actually, one of the key things that he mentions this in all the book, is that he created a team with talented people, with really talented people. He picked Elon Musk as one of his co-founders, and several others, so that's one of the key.
He was in an interview on a podcast recently, and he said also that he likes to pick companies where there is no real competition. So SpaceX with Elon Musk, well, there is no real competition. So that's why he picked it.
Yeah, well, I think that there will always be competition in what you do. But the key word there is real competition. When you think that you can do something better, go for it. Because you will always have a competition. It's a lie when people say, no, we don't have any competition at all. It's a lie.
Yeah, he was saying, for instance, the Defense Department or NASA, they're not really competition because they have so many subcontractors, they cannot create something themselves because they have to deal with all the subcontractors. Whereas SpaceX, they are virtually integrated, so they can produce something new. And it's mind-blowing, when you say something like that. And he's got so many good investment under his belt, like you can't.
Yes, yeah, he's so smart. And just imagine, saying that the NASA is not a real competition. It's a statement.
So you talked about the meetups where you've been, and you learn a lot from that. You learn from books. You learn from meeting a lot of people, really. So who is your support? I guess those people, but do you have community that you rely on, mentors or tutors? What is your support?
Well, I have a mentor in the US. Like, he's a wonderful person who is always like supporting me, giving me direction. He also loves to motivate me. For example, if I say 10, he will say, why not 100?
Fantastic.
So yeah, he's like that. And I met him in the most random way. I met him at a Starbucks in Washington, D.C.
What?
Yeah, he was actually he was the friend of another friend I was meeting at the moment. And I didn't know that the guy, his friend, the friend of my friend, was a successful investor at the time until I got to talk to him, So that's why I told you, like, always be open to people, learn from them, like, be open to create networks, to make relationships beyond professional relationships.
Because you never know where your investment can come from.
Exactly. You never know. So I met him like in this casual Starbucks thing. I was talking about life and things and my trip and these ideas that I had with my friend, and this other guy was just listening. So, of course, at the end of the meeting, I can say I became already friend with him. We were also talking with him and things. But then after that, he sent me an email like, hey, it was really nice to meet you. Add me in LinkedIn. Let's catch up. Tell me what your ideas are. So over the time, we developed like this good relationship. So he became my mentor. And he always like giving me tips of things and how to scale, how to grow. Of course, I found out already that he was a big investor.
Yep. Well, that's fantastic. Having an investor as a mentor, that's because they see so many companies, they see what works, what doesn't work. I mean, that's very helpful.
Yeah, that was a good experience, actually. It was a random experience in a random Starbucks in Washington, D.C. So, in a 3-day trip.
Random and not, like you just explained before, that you like to meet people and that you like to get to know them, even when you meet them socially. So, it just happened because that's how you behave.
Yeah, you create your own opportunities.
Yeah, that's right.
You create your own luck. That's how we say.
Yep. All right. We've talked about all the glorious examples and all the fun stuff. Let's go on the other side. Do you want to give us an example of one of your failures or tough time?
Yeah, well, there are a lot of them.
A lot?
If you're an entrepreneur, of course, you have to fail. I think the key is to fail fast. So
fail fast. I'll write that down.
Yeah, you don't want to be involved in a project for 2 years and burning a lot of money just to find out that it won't work. So if you have to fail in 1 month, in 2 months, 3 months. So I had this other startup before Inspired, which was called SpotCamp. SpotCamp was an event app. So pretty much like Facebook events, pretty much like Foursquare, really similar to that. It had its own value proposition for Ecuador because it was not something like this, only for Ecuador. But of course, at the end, it failed. It was really difficult to manage it. And there were a lot of things that didn't work out at the end that led the company to fail. One of them was actually not having a plan.
That's a problem.
Yeah, not having a growth plan, not have a clear...
A growth plan. Okay, that's different, yeah.
Yeah, so as I said before, like we spent so much time focused on the technology rather than in the market. So when we launch, okay, how we market this? Okay, let's do this. Let's try to sell it. So we did some sales, but it wasn't enough. And yeah, actually, after you have all of these obstacles, after you take so long to launch, there's another thing that you have to worry about, which is, you have to keep your team motivated to keep going on, things like this. And then you have to scale, you have to get more people. And if you don't have the skills, you don't know how to hustle, you need money also to hire people, and you're not doing sales. So all of these things clash at the same time.
Why do they always clash at the same time and everything crumbles?
Because you don't do things properly at the beginning. Yeah. So of course, I learned from this. Then I start many other projects, like not a company itself, but a project, like a tool. Some of them were more successful than the others. Some of them were failures. Some of them I couldn't even find a customer. Then I realized, okay, it's easier to go to a company and see what they don't have, what they need, and build something for them.
From the inside?
From the inside. So yeah, that's basically what I did. And And then I started to realize, okay, you have to start from the user. You have to start from a problem. Sometimes people start from solutions. That's a problem.
Yes. Well, it's easier, right? It's more exciting to start from a solution.
Sometimes innovation comes like that. Sometimes, but not most of the time. So you start with a solution and you try to find a problem to justify your solution. That's a regular approach that people actually take, and it's not the right approach. So
tell me about it. I worked a lot in RFID, and this was a solution looking for a problem.
Yeah, so it happens. I won't say that it doesn't happen. It happens a lot of times. It happened to me. So it's better to start with a problem. And if it's a problem that you have, that it's a real problem, real pain, then maybe you can start building something, like a prototype for it, and start getting feedback, launch it to the market as a prototype, as a beta or whatever, test it out with users, get their feedback, adjust, make some tweaks and changes, and you start like this, slow, but you will end up with something that is more market fit.
Yes, definitely.
What happened to my previous startup was that it was not market fit. Maybe it was a product fit because it had a lot of features, it was good, and people, when they saw it, they liked it. They liked how it was designed, and they liked what they actually could do in the app. But it was not market fit. It didn't solve any problem, Or sometimes it solves a problem, but in the wrong way.
Well, at least you learn a lot from your failure, so that's what matters, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. That was a cool story. What do you need right now in your venture? Like, do you need help, or do you have a call for action for our listeners?
Well, yes. This is a new app, a new platform, actually. It's web and mobile. If you're a writer, especially if you're an emerging writer, someone who wants to publish your first book or publish something in a non-traditional way, maybe you can give it a try to Inspire. It will help you to build a fan base, to know your audience and connect with them. And if you're a reader, you can find thousands of free online stories there.
Cool. So that's inspired.com.
Getinspired.com.
Getinspired.com. I'll put it in the show notes. Excellent. All right. Thank you so much for your time, Galo.
Thanks, Julian.
Time for a quick wrap-up. Each studentpreneur story is different, and what works for some people doesn't for others. However, I'd like to point out a few things in Galo's journey that are similar to a lot of studentpreneurs I have interviewed for my research. He started by selling things to his classmates in high school. His first job came from his passion developing websites for his friends. He values his mentor, but also the importance of university in terms of learning, but also as an environment to grow a business. What was really interesting is that Galo shows that entrepreneurship is not the one option. It pays to go back in and out the corporate world to grow oneself, but also value one's entrepreneurial skills. So basically, what Galo is telling us is starting your own business now can help you get a job in a couple of years. Thank you, Galo, and all the best with your new venture. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please review us on iTunes with 5 stars, and I'll thank you in an upcoming episode. Catch next episode of Studentpreneur on Wednesdays next week. Meanwhile, keep breaking the stereotype.